What's up, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Artemis Fowl, the newest film from director Kenneth Branagh. Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any videos you watch, including this one. So, Artemis Fowl is based off the very famous novel from Ewan Colfer. It's a collection of kids' young teen books that has done very well and been very successful. And this franchise, has been in development hell since I think 2003. It has passed from Miramax, Lionsgate, to everyone you can imagine. And the fact that it took so long to make is a little worrisome because when it comes to young teen, young fantasy adult novels, unless it's Harry Potter, you go in with a little bit of skepticism. You look at Aragon and so on and so forth, Mortal Engines. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's just that franchise and that genre just doesn't do very well. And when you look at stuff like A Wrinkle in Time, you get excited by it because of the people involved, Ava DuVernay, Storm Reed, all these people, Chris Pine, so on and so forth. And so here we have Kenneth Branagh. Kenneth Branagh is a very famous director. He's been in a lot of well-known movies. His last directorial effort was, of course, Murder on the Orient Express, a remake, which I actually found quite entertaining. And so I actually went into this movie with a little bit of optimism because he's a great director. You have this very interesting world with fairies and trolls and goblins and stuff like that. So I was a little bit excited. You have a cast that's mostly outside of Colin Farrell and Judy Dench, really unknown. You don't know much about them. This is probably their first film. The fact that it's big budget, I mean, what can you say? You'd be excited for it. And there's a reason this movie was pushed back many years. I think this was filmed in 2018, was originally going to be released, but because of the COVID-19, it got pushed to Disney Plus. And yeah, this movie sucks. This movie's awful. This movie makes no sense. I don't usually bag on kids for being awful actors, but Ferdia, who plays Artemis Fowl, is truly terrible in this movie. I think it's his first movie, so I'm gonna give him a little bit of off the leash. But when you're cast in a big budget movie like this, and you have a director like Kenneth Branagh who knows how to work with actors and knows how to work with kids, he worked with Christopher Columbus in the Harry Potter movies, which of course has a very famous set of cast members and kids. There's no reason Ferdia should have this stilted dialogue and be this wooden and be this uninteresting. This character Nonso, Anozie, who plays Dom, is butler, which he doesn't want to be called butler, is also just a character that's uninteresting. He's supposed to protect Artemis Fowl from doing these things, but Artemis Fowl, because his father's been kidnapped, it just they're characters that just don't have any logic or rhyme or reason. This Dom character has a niece that just kind of reappears and disappears throughout the movie, and that's what this movie's main problem is. That's why Artemis Fowl as a character is just not that interesting in this movie. I feel bad for Ferdia for giving this big budget project to have weight on his shoulders, but he seems like he doesn't know what he's doing in this movie. He doesn't have any direction. He doesn't have any purpose or reason or rhyme. He reads lines off a script and he moves like he's really cool in a Men in Black type suit. And I don't know. It just, out of all the characters in this movie, the main character is so bland. I don't get it. And then you have the fairy world, and you have Lara McDonnell, who plays Holly Beechwood. And she is like the second lead character in this movie, and she's also bland. She's boring. She's a character that has a lot of drive and motivation. Her father was killed. They're looking for something called the Aculus, which it's just a MacGuffin. It doesn't really have any cool things outside. Honestly, it really don't even know what it does. It doesn't really give any explanation, which this movie does a lot of that. And she has better moments than Ferdia Shaw, but she is just like, the dialogue she's reading, I don't know where it came from. Probably came from somebody who was just like bored and maybe high. I don't know, but when you get that, and then you have Judy Dench, who's just like has this raspy voice. She's the fairy high commander, and she just like can't. She looks like she's bored. And then you have Colin Farrell, who's just doing Colin Farrellisms, and he just looks bored as well. Everybody looks kind of bored in this movie, to be fairly honest. Everything from the fairy people to the goblins. Josh Gad is probably having the most fun in this movie, and he's just being Josh Gad. He's being Olaf or anything you've ever seen him in, and he is probably one of the worst characters in the movie because he does some really weird stuff that the CGI works into. It's just, this movie's not good. The plotting and the storyline, for 95 minutes, you're just not really sure about what is going on. There's this villain called Opal, who's, you're not going to see because they want to make a sequel out of this movie. And I'm just so boggled by why they can't make good young teen movies, young adult teen movies, because it just doesn't make any sense. This movie should be a perfect visionary franchise that, once again, like every other franchise like Aragon and the Golden Compass and stuff like that, it just, there's no rhyme or reason. They go into this like really cool world that is fairies, and there's a prison system and there's all these cool things, but there's no real, we're not really given anything, we're not given any depths to what's going on in this world. There's we see like some cool moments, but how does this work? Why are they underground? What about this is fascinating? There's nothing fascinating because we're not given any information. And then the whole idea of the story about this Aculus and stuff like that, give us some information about it, give us some rhyme or reason to anything in this movie. There's no rhyme or reason to anything in this movie. When the action happens, it's so CGI and bland and boring. When characters do things, it's so bland and so boring. Even Patrick Doyle's score is so bland and so boring. There's no justification for anything. When they bring characters in, they have this really cool thing called a time bubble, which freezes everything in its in its time thing, so the fairies can work. Let us learn a little bit about that technology. I mean, this movie's, like I said, 95 minutes, and it does less with this 95-minute runtime than Men in Black did it with its 86-minute runtime or whatever it was. I mean, it's like when you watch a movie like Men in Black, which I compare this movie to because of the fantastical world and stuff like that, you look and you have a feel, how everything operates, but nothing is like that in this movie. When Colin Farrell's character, Artemis Fowl Sr., gets kidnapped, give us something about the villain. The villain's just in the darkness. There's nothing there. It has a little green light. You don't know who it is. Not. I'm just honestly shocked that you and Colfer thought this was a good product that was being put on the screen. The only reason that this movie would have even made any money is for the people who love this franchise or book series. But I'm starting to see a pattern with movies coming to VOD that were supposed to be in the theater. 99% of them aren't good, and this movie is on top of the pile of one of the worst of the year. This goes right with A Wrinkle in Time, where you were actually kind of anticipating it for the possibility that it could be fun. The trailers for this movie were actually quite fun. If you watch my trailer reacts, they were good trailers. But this movie is, I don't know what Kenneth Branagh was doing. I don't know if he was just doing a paycheck. I don't know if that's the reason Colin Farrell or Judy Dench were in this movie, was for a paycheck. I don't know. I mean, if this movie gets a sequel, I will be kind of shocked, because for close to like probably, I think they spent like $200 million on this movie. I don't know. I don't know what Kenneth Branagh is doing. I don't know why he took this project. Maybe because I don't know if it's from a writer who's from Ireland. Of course, Kenneth Branagh is from Ireland. I don't know if he wanted to do a kids movie to satisfy maybe if he has kids, or he has has nephews and nieces. I don't know, but this movie was a complete misfire of a movie. It's a movie that doesn't deserve a sequel. It's going to probably go on the flames of other young teen and adult movies, young teen fantasy films. Even I think at a point, I think maybe this young subset of like 8 to 9-year-olds will enjoy this movie, but anybody over 10 is going to be like, I can go watch Harry Potter and be much more enjoyed and much more excited by the characters, because at least they're well written. Yes, those movies are a little bit longer, but if you're gonna put out a 90-minute movie, at least give us some substance and some drive and some material that is going to make sense, is going to have fun, and that's what this movie doesn't do. So yeah, that's Artemis Fowl. At least some of the visual effects are cool, but most of them are not. So there you go. Anyways, that'll do it. That'll be my take on Artemis Fowl. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the comments below. Tell me what you think of this movie. If you watch it, it is on Disney Plus, so most of you guys will watch this movie because you don't have to pay $20 for it. Also, hit the like or dislike button based on what you think of this video. If you dislike it, fine, hit the dislike button. But otherwise, subscribe to my channel, which is Movie Emporium, and hit the notification button at the top to find out what's coming next. But otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.